Healing from breakups or really important relationships and so forth is hard, right? And it feels really difficult when it feels like you're drowning in emotion, doesn't it? But I promise you, healing from your emotions is not about suffering, right? Feeling those feelings is not about suffering. It's about learning if you're willing and you're able and you learn how to go about this process. Most people think healing means let time heal all wounds, right? When in fact, time does not heal all wounds. It's time with the appropriate applied actions that heals all wounds. So, with that being said, you can expedite the timeline for you to heal and move on from a situation and let go of it and put it behind you with you taking more intentional steps towards that healing. And so, right now, I'm going to break down for you how to heal and regulate your emotions without being overwhelmed in the process. See, the first piece that gets people overwhelmed in the first place is they start looking at their emotions and dealing with those feelings and those sensations that you have going through you that feel horrible as this huge mountain to climb, right? They make it this big, impossible task that just feels agonizing and miserable the whole way through, right? And so, therefore, it makes most people inclined to distract themselves, avoid the emotions altogether, or go do something else to make themselves feel good. And you say, yeah, I'll get better. Just give me time. I'll get through it. I'm just going to do things that just fills my glass up. And where a piece of that is what you're supposed to do, you are supposed to spend more time focusing on the things that brings you joy, but it's not in, replacing of you actually dealing with the emotions that are already there, right? You're not healing them by just making yourself busy doing stuff that feels good to do. Because at some point, that old information, those emotions still need your attention. Otherwise, they're still left with unresolved answers, right? So therefore, down the road, even if you don't have the emotional trigger is readily available, right? You're not as stimulated like you once were. All it takes is the right alignment of wording or something to happen that triggers that old wound, and you react in a way that you didn't realize you would because you thought you were healed and you're actually not. So the first thing you need to do is shift your mindset around dealing with your emotions, right? Meaning you have to shift from a this is me suffering mentality to this is me learning mentality, right? You have to make that tweak. See, the very reason why most people avoid leaning into their emotions and feeling them and really going through that process is because the only thing they can think of when they think of sitting in those feelings is that they're just suffering, that I'm just here just to feel this stuff that I don't want to feel. Why would I want to feel that? But if you go into it with the right intentionality, meaning you're going into your feelings to get information from them, which is what they're there for, then it changes the dynamic. It gives you a more hopeful reason to go and put up with this. It's just like going to the gym. You want to get that new body. You know, going in that first week or even 2 weeks, you're not going to really see results like that, even if you're going every day, because you know it takes time. Why? Because you've seen other people do it before. You've seen other people get results and they've said, this is how I did it. So you're like, okay, I'm staying true to the process, even though it sucks every day in the beginning, even though you're really tired or you're sore when you get up because you haven't lifted weights in forever, or maybe this is your first time, right? To where you're getting all the beat up things, but you keep going back because you're focused on what you're getting from this, what you're getting out of it on the other side, right? The useful knowledge that you're learning as you're going through and you're working out, you start perfecting your craft. You start perfecting how to do your workouts better and improve them and all that, right? Information you're taking from it. Now, if you were just going to go work out and it was just painful, it was just uncomfortable and it sucked every time. And every time you look up, it's just, you being drained again and, you're sore every day and everything else, but you never get results or nothing comes from it. You don't have any takeaways. Then, yeah, I'm pretty sure you would stop working out. Pretty sure it would be over because there's nothing to look forward to. So the first thing when it comes to your emotions and healing to get past something or let go of something is you have to lean into those emotions, the ones that feel the worst, with the intention of I'm coming to learn and hear what these emotions are trying to communicate to me. So remember, pain is a message, not a punishment, right? So the second thing you need to do after you start to lean into your emotions, looking to go learn, is actually trying to dissect and decipher what is the message in my emotions here. Everything you feel is trying to tell you something, and it's trying to tell you something in respect to your core needs, meaning something is being violated here, something that you've lost, something you're missing. There's a void space. Usually when we feel the biggest pains, that's because we feel like we've lost the most, right? There's something that I do not have anymore after going through this experience. Even if that thing is not a physical thing, maybe it could be an emotional thing or a trusting thing or whatever it is. I feel I've lost something. Something's been compromised that's really valuable to me and means a lot. And it's not here any longer because of this thing. And it's your job to discover, what is the missing piece? What do I feel I'm lacking or don't have or was taken from me or that needs to be nurtured now that I've gone through this experience? So always ask yourself the question of, what have I lost or what isn't right? For example, maybe you're struggling with feeling abandoned, right? Abandonment. Maybe your ex walked away suddenly, or maybe they did the same thing the last ex did, or so always happens or whatever. And you're really struggling with it. Maybe it was sudden for you. And so maybe your emotion is trying to tell you that you need to work on self-security, right? Maybe this feeling of abandonment is symbolic to you that you don't feel secure on your own. So you need to have someone else there too to make you feel that. And whenever they left you, you feel abandoned because you don't feel like you got you, right? You don't feel secure on your own. So whenever someone walks out of your life, you're left with the void, the loss of feeling security for yourself. Remember, your emotions are not enemies, they're guides for you. And then that rolls us into the last piece, right? Which is you have to fill the void and change the narrative. Meaning, as you get clear on whatever's going on underneath the hood, whatever the information and the message is inside of the pain, inside of the emotions, inside of the feelings, right? And you get clear on what they're telling you and what they're kind of needing from you, then it's on you now to decide, is there a narrative shift that needs to happen here? Or is there something I need to do to make the narrative obsolete, right? Or is it a bit of both, right? Because once you get down to the clarity of what's going on, right, it's time for you to say to yourself, what do I need to do to fill in this gap, right? What needs to happen? So maybe that narrative that you had for whatever happened is saying to you something really heinous and messed up. So you ask yourself, well, let me review the narrative. Is it even as accurate as I was giving it back then? Because maybe I haven't reviewed it, so it's still been as strong as back then or whenever it happened. But now that I'm out of it, now I can think more clear-headed and everything else. Is it as accurate? Can I even let go of some of this narrative? Is some of it, dismissible? Can I let it go and chuck it away, right? Because that alone will lighten a lot of load on you. But if it is true and it is accurate or it is what it is, then the only other question to ask is, what do I need to do to make myself okay with what this is? Either what do I need to do to make this not true anymore, right? Because I'm living in this new reality, or what do I need to do moving forward to make sure this is never true again, right? So it could be a matter of, okay, I feel like I didn't respect myself and I let my boundaries down for, letting them do all this stuff to me. And I can't believe I let this happen. I can't forgive myself. So what will be the answer? Well, if I'm going to forgive myself, then I have to now start living to my standards and set clear boundaries that I honor with myself and I communicate to people and I don't flex on them. So as I start getting my reps in of doing that, I start feeling better about letting go of the fact that I allowed it to happen before because I've done something about it now going forward. Or maybe it's the narrative you need to work with more, right? Where it's something like, oh, well, my ex left me, so therefore I'm unlovable. Maybe the narrative shift is, I'm amazingly lovable and I'm awesome, but they weren't healthy enough to see my value, or they weren't in a space to where they really could embrace all that I have to offer. Or maybe I'm awesome, but just not for them, right? They were the wrong person for my value, right? And then on top of that, maybe the boundaries and things need to be worked on as well. See, at the end of the day, either your narrative needs to change around whatever's causing that pain for you, or your actions do. Sometimes both. But either way, there's something to be done to aggressively attack the healing. But the first piece is you have to be willing to sit in the emotions first, right? Let them breathe so you can hear what they're trying to say to you. Go into it with the intentional focus of, I want to understand, I want to learn, right? So then you start to extract your message second after you build. Because see, look, building that resilience to sit in the fire, that's the hardest part. And it makes it easier to do it when you go in with the intention of why you're doing it, not just to just feel it. And this is scary roller coaster ride of what's going to happen, right? So after you go and you sit in it and you, do some breathing exercises, take some deep breaths, right? Take time, let your body, relax into the experience to embrace those feelings. Don't have to hold yourself so tense, because you're going to get real tight and tense when you try to do this, most likely. So after you sit into it, you build the resilience to sit with it, take the information from it, and decide what I need to do with it. What's the void that needs to be filled by me? What do I need to do? I need to change the narrative. Do I need to take an action, or do I need to do both? And the more you get good at that formula and executing it as fast and as efficient and healthy as possible, the sooner you will heal from a lot of things, and it builds your confidence and trust in yourself that you'll be okay to make it through anything, and not have to avoid opening up again to the next person because you don't want to be here again. When you have the tools to get out of this space, it becomes less important to avoid the possibility of it happening to you again, because you know you'll be just fine. And you built your ability to look out for the right things and not wind up in that same position in the first place the next time around. So if you need help cultivating this skill set, right, and this formula to be able to sit in your emotions confidently and more comfortably, dissect the actual information as to what it's asking of you and what you need to do to heal, and then crafting the action steps to actually do that, or the new narrative that's going to serve you towards that end, then email or DM me the word coaching, and we will get to work, as long as you're truly ready to put that work in. If you're not ready for one-on-one coaching, don't have the time, space, or resources, I get it. At least email or DM me the word revival to join my Relationship Revival Hub community, where you can learn the same things I teach my clients one-on-one at your own pace, on your own time. Either way, do something to get in the race. Let's get it.